After that long, cold winter, it's finally time to check in on your bees. You know, that first spring inspection is one of the most critical things you'll do all year. It really sets the stage for either a fantastic honey season or, well, a struggle to survive. So let's get right into it. And that is such a perfect way to put it, right? You're basically waking up this incredible superorganism. Your job is to check its vitals, to assess its health, and to give it everything it needs to wake up strong and ready for that massive growth that spring brings. Okay, so before you even dream of cracking open that hive, preparation is everything. Getting the timing and your tools right is the absolute key to a calm and productive inspection for everyone involved, especially your bees. And look, the single most important factor here is temperature. I can't stress this enough. You've got to wait for a warm day, ideally somewhere between 75 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Why? Because if you open that hive when it's too cold, you can chill the brood, the developing baby bees, and that can literally stop their development in its tracks and set the whole colony way back. Patience is a virtue here, for sure. All right, so think of this as your pre-flight checklist. Super simple, but you just can't skip them. First up, you're looking for a sunny, calm day. The sweet spot is usually between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. when a lot of the foragers are out doing their thing. Second, get your smoker lit and make sure it's producing that nice, cool, white smoke. And third, and this is a big one, put on your protective gear. Seriously, these steps are simple, but they are absolutely non-negotiable. Now, here's where it gets really cool. You can learn a ton about your hive before you even break that propolis seal. This curbside diagnosis gives you your very first clues about how the colony weathered the winter. So one of the first things you're going to look for are signs of cleansing flights. And yeah, we are talking about bee poop. Seeing these little yellow spots on the hive lid or on the snow nearby is actually fantastic news. It means the bees were strong enough to fly out and relieve themselves after being cooped up all winter long. It's a great sign of an active colony. A couple of quick physical checks are going to tell you so much. First, just clear out any dead bees from the entrance. That ensures they have good ventilation. Second, gently heft or tip the hive from the back. How does it feel? Heavy with honey or worryingly light? This tells you right away if starvation is a risk. And finally, just stand back and watch the entrance for a few minutes and ask yourself one really important question. This brings us to maybe the most important question you can ask from the outside. Are you seeing bees flying in with those little colorful baskets of pollen on their legs? Because if the answer is yes, that is just fantastic news. Seriously, you can breathe a little sigh of relief. Pollen is protein, it's bee bread, and it's essential for feeding the larvae. So, seeing pollen coming into the hive is your #1 indicator that you have a fertile queen inside who is actively laying eggs and raising the next generation. Okay, seeing that pollen is a great sign. But now we gotta pop the top and confirm what's really happening in there. Our main mission is what I like to call a queen performance assessment. We're not just looking for the queen, we're looking at her work. And this is a crucial point, you guys. You do not need to find the queen. Honestly, trying to spot that one bee in a sea of thousands, it's stressful, it takes forever, and you can disrupt the hive. Instead, you're gonna be a detective. You're gonna look for the clues she leaves behind. And the absolute best piece of evidence is seeing brood in all stages. So what does that mean? It means when you pull up a frame, you're seeing everything at once. Tiny little eggs that look like grains of rice, those little C-shaped larvae swimming in royal jelly, and the sealed capped pupae. Finding all of that together on the same or nearby frames tells you she's been a busy, consistent layer over time. And this chart just lays it out perfectly. On the left, that's what you want to see. A healthy brood pattern looks like a solid, beautiful carpet. You see one single egg placed neatly in the bottom of each cell. The cappings are nice and flat. Now on the right, those are the red flags. A spotty shotgun pattern, multiple eggs jammed into one cell. That's a big warning sign for a queenless hive where workers might be laying. Or those raised, bumpy, convex cappings, which could point to disease. So while you're in there, you're going to knock out a few other quick tasks. Count how many frames are covered in bees. That gives you a good read on the colony's size and strength. Look for that beautiful rainbow-like band of pollen and honey that should be surrounding the brood nest. And hey, if the bees are all jammed up in the top box, you might want to think about reversing the brood chambers to give the queen more room to lay and help keep them from getting the idea to swarm. All right, diagnosis is done. Now it's prescription time. Based on what you just saw, you might need to step in and give the hive a little boost to get them on the right track for a successful season. The three most common things we do this time of year are feeding a colony that's running low on food, getting a handle on the dreaded varroa mite, and maybe rotating out some of that old dark comb to keep things fresh and clean. So if that hive felt light when you lifted it, you have to feed. No question. A 1-to-1 sugar syrup, that's pure energy, carbohydrates to get them going. A pollen patty, that's the protein they need to really ramp up brood rearing. And please, don't forget water. A clean, reliable water source is absolutely essential. Okay, let's talk about the #1 enemy of bees everywhere, the varroa destructor mite. Look, the question is never if you have mites, the question is how many you have. So, when do you pull the trigger and actually treat for them? Well, the science gives us a really clear answer here. You have to do a mite count using a standard method like an alcohol wash or a sugar roll. And the accepted threshold, the magic number, is this. If your count comes back at 3 or more mites for every 100 bees, it is time to treat, period. Don't wait. Hitting them now while the bee population is smaller is way more effective than trying to play catch-up later when the mite population has just exploded. You've got a few different treatment options. Something like Apivar provides a longer-term control that works over a few brood cycles. Or, for an early spring treatment, something like oxalic acid and glycerin can be really effective because it targets the mites that are physically on the adult bees before they can hide away under the capped brood. So, let's pull all this back together. This one single inspection, it really does set the tone for your entire beekeeping year. Your whole job right now is to help that colony make the big switch from those old, tired winter bees to a fresh, booming spring workforce. So, what are the big takeaways here? First, this checkup is everything. It's foundational. Second, your main goal is to support that critical population boom. And third, please, keep notes. Write down what you see, colony strength, brood patterns, when you treated. It's the only way you're going to know if things are getting better or worse down the line. Because ultimately, this is what it's all about, right? We're trying to nurture this ambitious, well-defined nest that's just ready to explode in population and become a productive, amazing hive that takes full advantage of that spring nectar flow. This first inspection is your chance to give them that head start, to make sure you've given them every advantage. So after you've closed up that hive and you're walking away, ask yourself this. The physical is done. Is your giant awake and ready to thrive?